Today, I'm going to be judging the finals of the Tiramisu World Cup. You probably want to know, what is the Tiramisu World Cup? The event takes place every year in a city called Treviso, just north of Venice. When we were making a video about the history of the tiramisu, I met the organizer of the competition, Francesco Reddi. He then very kindly invited me to come and judge the final round of the competition this year. How could I say no? The way the competition works is that it's split into two separate categories: original recipe and creative recipe. The original recipe requires that you only use these 6 basic ingredients: sugar, eggs, mascarpone, cocoa powder, ladyfingers, and coffee. These are all provided to each competitor, so it's really a competition about recipe and construction rather than about who can bring the best or the fanciest ingredients. The creative recipe lets you switch out the ladyfingers if you want, or use a different kind of sugar, as well as allowing you to add 3 new ingredients. What they are is up to you. What makes this whole competition really interesting is that it's only open to non-professionals. If you're a pastry chef or just a regular chef, or you cook for a living, you can't enter. Between the two categories this year, there were 240 people entering. The format feels a bit like a very Italian version of the Great British Bake Off. There's a big tent, judges are chatting to competitors, asking them questions as they prepare the desserts, and it got so hot in there that it was like the Bake Off episodes where everyone's cakes melt. I'll talk through the experience of judging later. Like any food competition, there's something about this that is a little absurd, but I won an absurd coffee competition way back in 2007, and that changed my life. Could winning this also change someone's life?
Ha portato un anno fantastico in cui ho viaggiato per l'Italia, collaborato con varie aziende importanti.
After winning, for me, it meant to grow up a brand, to grow up a small but interesting business.
Tutto quello che io faccio col tiramisù va tutto in beneficenza all'Associazione La Speranza di Milano. Eravamo piccolissimi, adesso stiamo cominciando a crescere grazie al discorso che io sono il campione del mondo.
The whole event was incredibly busy. The whole time the tent was jam-packed, there were lines outside to get in, and then you had so many people making tiramisus, these long tables all the way around the tent with competitors under pressure crafting these desserts. I wanted to know more about the competitors, but it wasn't really appropriate for me to interview them if I was going to judge them, so the team with me managed to grab a few of them to chat.
Ok, io sono Elisabetta Zanette, ho 32 anni, sono arrivata qui ormai in realtà 3 anni che faccio questa competizione.
Io mi chiamo Stefano Storti, sono di Ferrara e sono appassionato un po' di cucina e ristorazione amatoriale.
Eu sou do Brasil, São Paulo, e a gastronomia sempre foi minha paixão.
Hola, soy Cielo Fittipaldi, tengo 23 años, soy de Uruguay y estudio gastronomía en Atlántida.
Io sono Mario De Santis, ho lavorato in Leader per 20 anni e adesso ho deciso di svoltare pagina, questa è un'occasione giusta.
Tutti e 3 gli anni sono arrivata in semifinale, sempre con il creativo, quindi quest'anno ho deciso provo anche il classico.
Agora com 48 anos eu resolvi fazer uma nova faculdade de gastronomia e aí participei do Nacional y soy campeona brasileira de tiramisú.
Me presenté al concurso porque mi madre me dijo que había un concurso porque estaba escuchando la radio y escuchó que había un concurso de tiramisú y como estudio gastronomía me dijo, capaz que puedes hacerlo.
So for those that had made it to the grand final, well, how important was it to win this thing?
Seria muito importante, porque esses dias que eu estou aqui, eu vi que essa cidade vive o tiramisú. O tiramisú é a cara da Itália.
Bueno, la verdad sería un orgullo porque todo el mundo me dice vas a presentar a Uruguay, no sé qué, y es como una presión que tengo y creo que llegaría a una meta, o sea, cumpliría esa meta de que representar a todo el Uruguay.
Oddio, sarebbe sicuramente un ottimo risultato, però devo dire la verità che sono comunque contenta di essere arrivata in finale.
Now I want to take you inside the mind of a judge at the Tiramisu World Cup. And there were quite a lot of judges, including food writers, chefs, previous winners, and you might even recognize Massimo from the tiramisu video we made too. The way that the judging works is that you score each one in 5 different categories. Firstly, there's the technical skills, which include things like technique, messiness or wastefulness, looking at whether they're working cleanly and appropriately. You judge this by watching them as they prepare their tiramisus. Then, when they're done and time is called, you can judge each one individually for its appearance. Then you sit down and you're brought samples of each one, and I found this bit really stressful. I know that as a competitor, I have really high expectations of a judge's skillfulness and fairness. I wanted to meet that. I knew that each one of the original recipes would have identical ingredients. Would I even be able to tell them apart? It turns out yes, I could. Variations in sweetness or texture or balance of flavor meant that each one was quite distinct. And so while I'm judging, I'm thinking things like, can I taste the coffee enough? Is it too sweet? Does the cream feel heavy? Is the cocoa powder dominant, or is it adding some nice bitterness? Each one of these dishes should have different answers, but it was still quite tricky to judge them. Judging the creative was a little easier. Did the additional ingredients work? Because I tasted tiramisus with lemon and basil, or with marmalade, or with apples, and they were really quite different, but I think there was one, for me, that stood out the most. Okay, we've waited long enough. Time for the results. Patricia's tiramisu was great. The coffee hit just right, the biscuit texture was great, which is tricky considering the time constraints, and I just really enjoyed the way the flavors worked. Mario's creative tiramisu was very clever. Simple ingredients perfectly balanced so that the bitterness of the dark chocolate cut nicely against the sweetness and acidity of the jam, with the cinnamon just adding some nice top notes. Plus, the coffee still came through and felt like it belonged as well.
All right, I think the celebrations are now underway. It's kind of chaos out here. Eating those tiramisus was super interesting, obviously extremely delicious. I didn't really know how my taste would line up with the other 9 judges, but turns out they line up pretty well. And we have 2 extremely worthy winners, very talented people. And you know, I just hope they have a great year as champions. I don't really know what it means for them, but I am going to be keeping an eye on them. I hope you've had fun coming along and, you know, getting a little insight into this wonderful little competition that I hope continues to grow. Let me know what you think about this whole thing. What did you expect it to be? How did it turn out to you? Would you want to come and judge all of these tiramisus? I'll say thank you so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.